meeting for October 9th, 2025 is now called to order. Trustee Dr. Billy Strickland will provide the invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for our board members and others who have gathered here for this meeting this morning. Please protect us, and we thank you for our safe travels to get here and hope that we have safe travels as we return home. Thank you for this meeting. Thank you for the agenda. We hope as we move through it, dear Lord, that we will do things and make decisions that are pleasing to you. We also want to remember to do things that are kids first. It is not our mantra, it is our fabric that we operate on. Thank you for the schools in our charter school district. Thank you for the students, the faculty, and staff. Be with them, keep the children safe, be with them, and they will be loving and cared for and make great academic progress. Lastly, I would want to say thank you as we sit in this beautiful auditorium and wonderful facilities. Thank you for our district office staff, that is, many are here, others are in their workspace. Thank you for what they do. Bless them and keep them continue to work for the district. And lastly, we are so grateful to have the leadership of Superintendent Neely, who does such an excellent job. Thank you for all these things that you do for us, dear Lord, and we ask these in your name. Amen.
Amen. Trustee Kip Miller will lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Dr. Teresa Pope will read the position and mission statement.
Our position statement: the South Carolina Public Charter School District embraces its state-appointed role as the distinct authorizer of public charter schools statewide. Mission statement: the South Carolina Public Charter School District authorizes, supports, and champions innovative K-12 public charter schools, ensuring quality educational opportunities for parents and academic excellence for students, so every South Carolina child can reach their highest potential.
Secretary Butcher, please provide the roll call.
Jonathan Butcher is here. Dexter Davis.
Present.
Stephen Gilchrist.
I'm here.
Kip Miller.
Here.
Cindy Mostetler is not with us today. Craig Plank.
Here.
Dr. Teresa Pope.
Here.
And Dr. Billy Strickland.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve the agenda for the October 9th, 2025.
So moved. Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion carried. Approval of the minutes for the September 11th, 2025 meeting. We need a motion to approve the minutes for the September 11th, 2025. Second.
I'll second.
Motion carried. Are there any public comments? Move to informational items. We have a first reading by Mr. John R. Payne.
Mr. Vice Chairman, trustees, this morning we're doing for informational purposes. There is no vote. We are presenting before you the first reading of a new policy that it falls upon some existing as well as new requirements under FOIA. And that is that all board meetings, including but not limited to committee, subcommittee meetings, workshops, and/or public hearings, with the exception of executive sessions, shall be live streamed so that they are visible and audible in real time. Video and audio should be of sufficient quality so that viewers may easily hear the comments and identify who is making the comments. A link to the live stream meeting shall be published on the agenda for the meeting to the maximum extent practicable. Closed captioning services should be made available. All live streamed meetings should be posted on the district website on or before the second business day following a board meeting. Mr. Vice Chair, this is just the first reading of this required new policy for us, and we will bring it back next month in November for a second reading. But this is a policy per the state that we're required to implant. As you all are aware, we are already ahead of the game in compliance here for our district office.
Thank you. We now need a motion to accept and approve the August 2025 financial report as recommended. Now we'll hear from Nick Michael, our deputy.
Chairman, if I may. Sorry, I just wanted to ask a quick question regarding the FOIA. Is there a timeline by the state on when this is to be enacted?
Yes, sir, January 1st.
January 1st, okay.
Yes, sir.
Great. All right, thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
Now we'll hear from Mr. Nick Michael, our deputy.
Good morning, Vice Chairman and board members. At the end of August, we expect 83.33% of the general fund approved budget to remain. We are currently at 81.17%. My report will show the district is bringing in more revenue than forecasted, but still operating at a net loss due to front loading of expenditures at the beginning of the fiscal year, and this is something that occurs annually. The September report will show a net increase for the month, reducing the net loss for the year. This is due to schools receiving additional funding from their 5-day membership update. If you flip over to page 2 of my report, this is the district-wide income statement, which includes general fund, state-aided classrooms revenue transferred to our schools. And as you know, state-aided classrooms is the majority of state revenue that the district receives. Through August 31st, the district received over $36 million in revenue with total expenditures of over $36 million, which equals a net loss of just over $108,000. Of the revenue received, over $35.3 million was sent to our schools under the state-aided classrooms line and for any that participate in the state retirement system. If you flip over to page 3, this report is the income statement for the district office only, which includes only general fund revenue recorded for our state-mandated 2% authorizing fee, donations, interest income, and any other local revenues. For the month of August, the district recorded over $469,000 in revenue, over $581,000 in expenditures, for a net loss of over $111,000 for the month. This decreases our estimated fund balance from $3 million to just under $2.9 million. And as I mentioned earlier, the district will see an increase in revenue beginning with the 5-day membership update in next month's report. Flipping over to page 4, this report breaks out the district's budget and expenditures by department. Leadership has a budget of $1.6 million, expenditures of $267,000 with 84% remaining. Sponsor Performance has a budget of $1.2 million, expenditures of $251,000 with 79% remaining. Support and Implementation has a budget of $1.1 million, expenditures of $274,000 with 77% remaining. External Affairs has a budget of $615,000, expenditures of $100,000 with 84% remaining. And lastly, Financial Services and HR has a budget of $914,000, expenditures of $159,000 with 83% remaining. And finally, if you flip over to the last page of my report, this is generated monthly by the State Department and includes all state funding that is calculated for our district. Of the $257.9 million allocation, $254.3 million is under the state aided classrooms line, which is approximately 98.59%. Vice Chairman, this concludes my August financial report, and I respectfully request board approval pending any questions.
Thank you, Nick. Are there any questions?
Yeah, Nick, could you explain again the additional revenue that will start next month?
Yes. So we're initially funded off of our prior 135-day plus projected enrollment for new schools. And then in September, we see the 5-day update. So you're going to see that additional growth in current schools plus the adjustments for our new schools.
So do you think this is that would offset this loss that we had?
Correct. It's going to continue to offset each month.
Okay.
Yes. And in my next month's report, I'm going to include a little graph to show you what we projected and what we're actually bringing in.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve the August 2025 financial report as recommended.
I move that we approve as presented.
Second.
Motion carried. Are there any more questions?
So just one, and I'm sorry, I missed that when I was looking at something else. So you were saying that you had front-loaded, some of the expenses are front-loaded. In 2 sentences, what are those, or how is it best to?
It's things like the cost for Epicenter. It's a software program that we utilize in the district to collect information from our schools. So that costs almost $94,000. We also pay upfront for our accounting software, which is about $35,000. So things of that nature.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chair, I'd also like to provide an audit update.
Okay. We need to take a vote.
Okay.
All right. Motion.
Second.
All right.
We have a
Motion
motion.
carried.
Yeah, so now we need to vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Sorry about that.
All right, thank you. Just a really quick audit update. We are on track to complete the district level financial audit this month. To provide a little bit of background, there's 2 components to our audit, the financial statements and then also the compliance supplement. The entire state is delayed because the second component has not been released by the federal government, and as you know, the government is currently shut down. We are currently awaiting guidance from the State Department on how to proceed with meeting the December 1 deadline. This concludes my audit update, pending any questions.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you.
Great report. We now have our superintendent's report, our sponsor performance update by Mr. John R. Payne.
Mr. Vice Chair, trustees, I'm just going to give you a few updates from our work in authorization and data and accountability. First of all, I just want to recognize Kristen Farmer, who represented the district on a state committee that the department put forward to review the charter application and make recommendations to it. Some of the recommendations that were made that ended in the final product is the State Department finally and happily removed some of the items that the department had included that had no statutory basis in the Charter Act, so that we can ensure that the application now is genuinely aligned to the Charter Act. So we're very proud of Kristen and her service on that team. The application for new applicants is now posted on the State Department's website. It is live, and we have also provided them with our new addendum to our charter application for any applicant that may be interested in starting a workforce center of excellence. And so that addendum is, applicants would need to complete that addendum as well if they have an interest or appetite in creating and starting a workforce center of excellence. And we certainly hope that they're out there. With our direction team, which of course is our chief, deputy superintendents and Chris, we took a second look at our closure protocol. As you are aware, this past summer we regrettably had to close one school, so while that was fresh in our minds, we wanted to go back over the closure protocol and identify, are there duplications? Can we make this more efficient? What can we do differently? And that was a very good conversation. Nothing was substantially changed. There were a couple of areas where we saw some duplications, a couple of areas where we just needed to break it down to a couple of different components. So it was a very good conversation, and that should be, we're finalizing that revision now, and to have at our ready when or if the next time we regrettably have to have a school closed. We have been meeting with potential applicants. So throughout the year, as you know, different organizations and entities reach out with interest about starting a charter school. And so Kristen Farmer and Bridget Cuneo meet with those. I meet with them as well. So those have been ongoing. And the letters of intent are due around November the 1st this year. And then, of course, the applications would be due February the 1st of 2026. Additionally, I think you are aware that we have continued our goals training with Dr. Kelly Pugh. Dr. Pugh visited with us on September the 29th, just a couple weeks ago. At that specific goals training, we had folks from the Meyer Center, from Green Charter Schools, from East Point, Spartanburg Prep, and Youth Leadership Academy. And Dr. Pugh took them through a deep data dive. They really examined their data, a lot of rich conversation, and we're really pleased. I think right now, in terms of the schools that have come to our workshops to that, I think we're at about a 60 to 70% getting those goals updated. So we're really pleased with that metric. As well, since the letters of intent will be coming due on November 1st, we have already scheduled our pre-applicant training. So once we know which applicants are interested by that letter of intent submitted on November 1, we invite those potential applicants to an all-day session with us where we go over who we are, what we're about, and sort of our expectations in examining charter applications, which I hope you know is a very robust system. So we'll be planning that on November the 13th. In addition, we are in October, and so we are now fully managing Power School and our Power School ticketing. Of course, we still have and work with our Canty partners who assist us with providing cybersecurity, but we are managing now Power School in-house, and since the migration, we are upwards of about 300 tickets, with most of those tickets being resolved within half a day. So we are increasing those tickets, we're increasing efficiency, and in addition, those tickets we can tag with specific subject areas so that at the end of the year, we can do a deep dive and analyze what are those common things so that can inform the professional development that we do every summer when we train our new Power School folks. In addition to that, we are finalizing our Power School Procedures Manual. Since it's not a policy, it does not have to come before you, but it just basically explicates the procedures, most of which are already department requirements. Some of them are just because of the unique nature of us being the charter authorizer district and our schools. But we are wrapping that up and hope to deploy that to our schools, again, making sure that cybersecurity is top-notch, that we are ensuring quality data, and that, to the best of our abilities, all of our systems are good to go. So then the last thing on data and accountability is we have been providing extensive technical assistance to schools related to data, accountability, and the embargoed report cards. As I shared last month, the State Department had indicated that the school report cards would go live on October 15th, 2025, which is just next week. Just yesterday afternoon, we got a notice from the department that has pushed back that date to the first week of November. So we're not exactly sure what day that will occur, but we do know that it has been extended by at least so far 2 weeks. So that gives us more time to provide technical assistance to our schools. Right now, we have provided technical assistance to over 50%, I think it's about 55% of our portfolio of schools. And that technical assistance has been through email correspondence, telephone call discussions, Zoom, Teams, and even in-person meetings where we're going out and doing deep data dives. I would just simply like to commend Dr. Jacinta Bryant, who was before the board last month for their goals amendment for Low Country Acceleration Academy and Carolina Shores. Josh Finley and I spent an entire day with them, with both of those schools, just going through data, and I'm very pleased to see the work that they have done to try to make sure their data is clean, and then now putting that towards an instructional focus. And I'm excited with where that goes. The final thing that I have is to talk about is a non-material change. So Palmetto Scholars Academy submitted a request to refine their disciplinary procedures, specifically their discipline policy. There was a sentence or so in their discipline policy that reflected a practice that they just haven't done, and so this revision basically allows them to their practice to conform to their bylaws. In short, they originally intended to have a teacher group that would be kind of a disciplinary review team, but the school leader felt that might put some educators in precarious positions, particularly as they are making decisions about suspensions and expulsions of students. And so as a result, they have migrated a little different practice and are just, again, trying to conform their discipline policy to their actual procedures. Mr. Vice Chairman and trustees, that concludes my update for this month, notwithstanding any questions that you or the others may have.
Yes, go ahead.
Question for you. In the committee that you said Emily was on about the charter applications, can you, in brief, say what changed? Who was on it?
It was Kristen.
Kristen,
Kristen.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That Kristen was on. Can you describe just briefly what changed?
You want to come? Yes, so a couple of things. They had a number of things like, describe like what the average day looks like. That's not statutorily bound. They did have a couple that were not there, that were not statutory bound, but the group felt very important that those include. And those were the items related to the EMO and CMO arrangement. So those remained in. We were advocates for that. And and I'll just have Kristen touch on it since she was on that team.
Yes, a number of them were professional development indicators, and professional development is often something that is developed either through the year zero planning process. It's not something that the planning committee would have set in place ahead of time. So there were a number of indicators removed from the professional development. Some indicators were combined, some were just revised, and like John said, some were actually removed if they weren't supported by the Charter Act and regulations.
So you think the ultimate aim was to streamline, or at least somewhat, not simplify, but...
It's right, it's not simplifying, but it's more streamlined, and it's not asking kind of, there were a lot of duplicate questions in different sections of the application, so that has been streamlined as well. Yes, so it was definitely simplifying it in the sense that they're not asking for the same thing repeatedly.
How many pages is the application these days?
Well, it's a form stack. So there's an application guidance document that's probably 25 pages long. There are, the 3 large sections, and each section has 6 or 7 subsections, and each subsection has numerous indicators. So it's a very voluminous document and process.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Kristen.
Mr. Deputy Superintendent, thank you for that awesome report. And thank you, Ms. Kristen Farmer, for the efforts as well. We'll now hear from, if there are no further questions, we'll hear from our Deputy Superintendent supporting the implementation, Emily Baker.
Good morning, Vice Chair, members of the board.
Good morning.
I have 2 updates for you this morning. The first is we have issued an area of concern as our first corrective action plan for the year. That area of concern was issued to Pace Academy on September the 9th. The 2 items identified as a concern within that notice were records retention for student records and also individual health plans that pertain to nursing services. So the school has been very receptive. They've already begun to self-correct those and will continue to track until we're able to release them from that concern. The second update is we have now officially wrapped year 1 of the Read to Succeed process under the updated Act 114 legislation. So as a reminder to you, Act 114 was updated last school year, or before last school year. It was implemented in the first year for last school year, and so now we have lived that updated legislation. So for the 24-25 school year, we serviced portfolio-wide, district-wide, 1,535 total 3rd graders. okay? The biggest update pertaining from Act 114 that pertains to these data points is that we pivoted as a state from the SC Ready reading test for third grade from students scoring in the not met 1 category to the full not met category. District-wide, we had 264 third graders score not met in that area of reading on the SC Ready assessment, okay? Once that is complete, students in schools and school leaders then have the ability to exempt students based on state-approved good cause exemptions. There are 4 good cause exemptions that were in place last school year. So there were 57 total retained third graders under Act 114 portfolio-wide for us for last school year. The updated addition is they brought back the superintendent appeal process. So Superintendent Neely did receive 11 parent appeals under Read to Succeed last school year. The way we audited those was we created an audit team of district staff. We reviewed the whole child. It was important to us to look at data points that extended beyond just a single SC Ready assessment. And then we made recommendations to Superintendent Neely, where he then had the decision-making factor. So 3 of those 11, we actually approved to promote to the 4th grade once we were able to audit the whole child, and 8 of those students, we denied to retain those students. That concludes my report, pending any questions.
In the retention process, did you look at classrooms and see if there was a pattern of students being retained based on the teacher?
Yes, we did look at, we actually had one school that we looked at patterns like that and kind of a track record and or higher volumes of students that fell in that not met category as compared to other schools, yes.
Mr. Vice Chair, when it comes to the percentages, is there a baseline percentage that's the goal? Because I come up with 83% who met, or 17 who did not, about
Yes.
just shy of 4% who were retained.
So this is our new baseline. So because we have the updated legislation, this year, with the first year of implementation, will serve as our baseline. To give you a little bit of an idea, like you said, it's right around 15% of students that fell in that not met category this year. Last school year, remember it's updated, it's different legislation, but we did have 391 students in the not met 1 category. So our schools really took this seriously because it grew the qualification area. They really took it seriously. We can tell that they made an instructional impact in 3rd grade reading in particular, and we were actually impressed with the improvement, even though the qualification band grew.
Is there a standard percentage that's out there as a goal?
There is not a standard percentage. We will then begin to compare year to year to see as a whole if we are improving, but this will be our new baseline.
And how does that, this may be data you don't have, but as it relates to the trad type of the traditional public school system?
I am not sure of others' retention data. If we are able to access that, I will provide that to you, but I'm not sure if we have access to other districts.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I can tell you that on NAEP, 40% of traditional schools, students in 4th grade are below basic in reading. So 40% in South Carolina.
On that note, do you think there will ever be a time, and I'm noticing nationally as well, Mississippi and other states are tracking that 4th grade performance? Will we begin to start doing that more?
Yes, they are tracking that 4th grade performance, and that's why I think South Carolina has put their efforts into 3rd grade and below. The state has continued to expand their summer reading camp offerings and other programs that are funded under the Read to Succeed legislation. And so an example of how the state is expanding, this coming school year, schools will now receive funding for summer reading camp to go all the way down to 1st grade. So before, our schools may serve down to 1st grade, maybe even kindergarten if they so chose, but it wasn't necessarily state funded. And so now the state is realizing the earlier we get them, the more intervention, that they have, the better it is. And so the state will this year begin to service all the way down to 1st grade.
And that's not Title I,
That's not Title I, this is just Read to Succeed for summer reading camp.
Yeah, I just wanted to also just comment just about the appeals process. we take this very seriously. The issue that comes before us when it comes to a child being retained, we put the utmost care in that. I care deeply about what the school leader says and what the local board says, and I care a lot about what the parent says. The issues that I saw on the ones that we did not approve for promotion was either the parent did not have the child enrolled in summer reading camps, or there was excessive absenteeism. And absenteeism, in my opinion, was the biggest barrier for these kids. Parents have got to have their kids in school. They cannot learn at home.
Absenteeism as well as tardies.
Correct.
Yeah, we've had
Because if you're, it's
kids.
both tardies and early release.
Yes.
Because if your instructional minutes, you're either missing instructional minutes in the morning or in the afternoon, and it depends on how that school schedule runs. So you're correct. It's not just absentees, it's also tardies and early releases.
Any more questions?
Yeah, Ms. Vice Chair, one other question on, I know Dr. Pope had mentioned about analyzing it based on teacher, but how about from the spectrum of our schools as a whole? Is there one school or two schools that challenges the percentage, or across the board the same? And if we could get a copy of that analysis by school, would be great.
Yeah, we would be happy to provide you with that. I can give you the breakdown of by school for not met. I can also give you some additional data on the parent appeals that we received. We did see a high percentage from one particular school, and we have reached out to them. Rihanna Smith and I reached out to the school to say, we're noticing this trend. What are you doing in place? What supports do you need? Are you seeing what we're seeing? And so we had a really good, productive conversation with that school leader and his instructional leadership team. And so they know that we are here to support them, and we'll continue to support them throughout this school year.
And I imagine you would also be looking at the school that might be performing at a much higher
Yes.
success rate. And
Yes.
balance that. with
You are
best
correct.
practices.
You'll see that in the data, that there are some schools that did not have students that qualified, as well as schools that had a higher percentage pertaining to the ratio of their population.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would add to that, the staff will provide a report per school.
Yes, we will.
Any more questions? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We'll now hear from our External Affairs update from our Executive Director of External Affairs, Mr. Brad Henry.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My report this month is all about our community partnerships and strategic alliances. Many of you have heard mention of the South Carolina Children's Fund partnership that we've had with them going on a little over a year now. I thought it would be best to bring in the leader of the South Carolina Children's Fund, Mr. Christopher C.R. Roskowski, to give a report on what they've been up to, the way that they've been helping our schools in the state, and to talk a little bit about the overall strategic mission of the Children's Fund. They've helped a number of our schools financially and philanthropically, from Compass Collegiate in North Charleston, Liberty STEAM in Sumter, and Legacy in Greenville, just to mention a few. And so this is a partnership we're really excited about, we're really fortunate to be a part of, and I'd like to invite CR up to say a few words to you about what they've been working on.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are we doing? Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you for having us. And let me just make sure I've got my, great. So thank you for making 5 minutes and just a couple of, I'd love to hear a couple of thoughts and questions from members of the board today. But as Brad shared, South Carolina Children's Fund is a relatively new organization in South Carolina, founded in the last 2 years. We are what's called an education champion organization. There are about 25 such organizations that exist around the country. Perhaps the best known are the Mind Trust in Indiana, New Schools for New Orleans in Louisiana, Opportunity 180 in Nevada, and actually a new partner just north of us, Great Schools North Carolina, which started at about the same time that South Carolina Children's Fund did. So what does an education champion organization do? We try to provide thought and action leadership, statewide and regional coordination, some strategic partnerships, such as with authorizers and charter schools and funders and chambers of commerce and mayor's offices, et cetera, et cetera. Civic and philanthropic engagement, we'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, one of the things that we are known for is providing strategic capital and strategic philanthropic investment in schools and in organizations that we think are catalytic for kids. And we try to be an entity that centers on the student and family experience. So as you all know, there are a lot of organizations in the education, what we call the education ecosystem, that represent teachers, represent schools, represent administrators, right? Represent vendors. And we want to be an organization that centers everything that we do on what the student and family experience is, and we raise money and put money to work philanthropically with that in mind. A word or two about us. So here's our incredible founding board of directors. They represent, all major regions, not all major regions of the state, but we do have folks from the upstate, from the Midlands, and from the Low Country. We're continuing to build our board. These are the first 6 board members that joined, many of whom have committed their own time, talent, treasure, and heart to the cause, many of whom have been longtime advocates, board members, and elected officials in the public charter school space, both in South Carolina and throughout the country. So we have some national expertise, some local expertise, and a lot of folks that are giving a lot of their time and energy. Just a quick note about me. So my name's, as Brad shared, my name's Christopher, and people call me CR around the state, just mostly because my last name, Ruskowski, is hard to say. But I've spent the last 2 decades working in education. I started off as a middle school social studies teacher in Miami-Dade. I then worked at a public charter school in Boston in the Chelsea neighborhood and taught middle school there. And then I spent 10 years in state government, both 6 in the state of Delaware and 4 in the state of New Mexico, including a stint as Governor Susana Martinez's Secretary of Education, before moving to South Carolina about 6 years ago to run Meeting Street Schools and the Meeting Street Scholarship Fund and sort of Meeting Street portfolio. So this is a new endeavor for me with South Carolina Children's Fund, but certainly have been in the space and know what it's like to sit in the superintendent's seat. And so have deep empathy and respect for people that do the public service work every single day inside of government. So South Carolina Children's Fund, we have 5 major areas of focus. I won't kind of talk through all 5, but again, we put philanthropic money to work. We put our time to work in these 5 areas. But a lot of that so far has been direct investments in schools. And as Brad shared, and as the superintendent has joined us on several visits, a lot of those have been schools in the SCP-CSD portfolio. And candidly, and I'd love to engage in dialogue around this, we think that it is too difficult for great schools that are serving kids well to grow. We fundamentally believe it's too difficult, right? When we look around the country at other states that provide facilities funding, transportation funding, Florida provides Schools of Hope funding, Texas provides incentive funding. So if you're running a great school and you're serving kids from low-income backgrounds and you're getting good results, it shouldn't be that difficult to grow. And one of our fundamental contentions is that right now in this state, we need to do a lot more work with our legislature and with our department and with our friends, across the way to make it easier for schools that are doing a good job to grow. So that's one topic for further discussion with you members of the board. And we've put our money where our mouth is there. We've put about 64% of our first $1 million invested into schools that are looking to grow and serve more kids. Looking ahead, and I'll close here, you kind of heard me mention the enabling conditions, but again, one of the things we are constantly looking at is what are other states doing and where is South Carolina in terms of being competitive with those other states as it pertains to being welcoming to public charter schools. And I'd say, my honest assessment is we're not in the top 10, right? And I think everyone here would want to be in the top 10, right? In terms of being good conditions, good authorizing throughout the entire system, good relationships, good philanthropic involvement. And so up the top, you'll hear, us talk a lot about enabling conditions. If you don't have quality authorizing, if you don't have facilities and transportation funding, and if you don't have things like innovation funds and growth funds, then other states are going to be more attractive environments for public charter schools. And so part of our goal is to make South Carolina the #1 state for public charter schools. And if you followed recently the story of Success Academies deciding to go to Miami-Dade, Florida, that was a concerted effort by a lot of people in Florida, in Tallahassee and in Miami, for Success Academies to choose to go to Florida as the second place it ever went. That's one of the top performing charter networks in the country. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is Florida doing that we're not doing, right? And I think that's one of the questions that we like to spend time on. And then ongoing partnerships with national organizations, local organizations, and local schools on the ground. And then we're going to continue to have a regional and statewide focus. So I hope I'm okay, Mr. Chair and Board, in terms of time. Mr. Superintendent, I'll pause there. Would love to hear any questions or thoughts on what we're up to at South Carolina Children's Fund.
Any questions, board members?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a way that you can look at schools who need help because they're not successful?
Yeah, it's a great.
Because schools that are already performing well,
Yeah.
They wouldn't need as much help as those schools who are underperforming.
It's a great question. I think from our perspective, what we try to do, and there are other organizations that do other things, right? The Alliance, professional development organizations, universities. The role we want to play is helping those great schools that want to grow and schools that are maybe struggling but serve kids that don't have opportunity. So I think your question is a question that we wrestle with a lot, which is what is the role we're going to play in improving the quality of schools? And I think that there are other organizations and entities that are better positioned to do that than us. Again, I named a couple of those. So look, we're new. When Ms. Pope, when we talk 3 years from now, I might be saying, yeah, we've got 5 schools that we're working with. But in our first year of existence, we've really focused more on the high-performing schools that are trying to grow. Yeah, great question. I think we look at a couple of factors. One, what are their plans to grow? Like, that's one of the things that we think about. Do you have the aspiration, the ambition, and the skill to continue to scale what you're doing? Do you have a track record of success? And for us, that starts with, at a bare minimum, are you earning good and excellent ratings on the report card? Is your school in a place where kids are furthest away from opportunity? So when we spend a lot of time looking at the data about which communities don't have access to great schools, and we privilege the school entrepreneurs that are opening schools in areas where kids are furthest away from great opportunity. So we often hear us refer to that as like a quality school desert, right? When we look at the map and we see that there are zip codes or counties or neighborhoods or regions that don't have a great school, we tend to privilege schools that are inside of those areas.
You mentioned the challenge and growth with high-performing schools. It's interesting. Tell me a little bit about the lobbying element, if you guys have that, or if that's more designed for this board here or the local school boards. But you mentioned facilities, capacity, and then probably just as importantly is transportation. And we know we've talked about it as desire to be able to kind of treat this public district here the same as traditional public districts.
Sure.
Especially if we can get more people to the location and have locations that can allow for capacity. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are working on there.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. At a very high level, we do believe that part of our role is to raise public awareness and to have conversations with key elected and appointed officials about the things that we think are standing in the way of that growth and of that ability to expand, and to highlight, again, some of the things that other states and other communities are doing to be competitive, right? You think about the effort that this state has put in over the last 2 decades to bring in Volvo and Scout Motors and Boeing, and do we do that same economic and business development work as it pertains to high-quality schools? So I think we do see it as part of our role. I think I want to give a huge compliment here to Superintendent Neely. I think he's done a great job of raising public awareness, whether it's through social media, op-eds, the podcast. We need more of that, I think, as a community, because I think part of the challenge that I think we're encountering, and we do have a government affairs firm that we work with, and we do spend time. It's not a big chunk of our time. We're a 501c3, so you have to keep it in its proper place. But I think it is. I think one of the challenges that we, as a strategic partnership, are up against is the perception of public charter schools across the state, right? And I think you have many different sectors within the sector, many different authorizers, many different types of schools. You've got the nonprofits and the for-profits, right? You've got sort of a variety. And I think the story of schools that are closing the achievement gap, which I know Superintendent Neely talks about as sort of, at the heart of the statute, if I'm saying that right, Superintendent. Those schools, I don't think, are at the front of decision makers' minds when they think charter, right? They think about the last school they read a negative article about in the newspaper. That's charter. And I do think that I serve on the board of Legacy Early College, one of your schools in Greenville. And that's a school that I think kind of flies below the radar a little bit, despite doing outstanding work for 15 years in one of the most high-need neighborhoods of Greenville. So I do think we have a public narrative challenge. I do think Superintendent Neely is at the forefront of solving that challenge, and I think we want to play a part in that. Because I do think that the people that are serving in elected and appointed roles are breathing in that negative narrative, and I think we have to change that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to elaborate on your great question, Dr. Pope. Speaking on behalf of Liberty Steam Charter, I was very key and involved in that school, and what you did last year, the award that we received, they received now that I'm at this side, but a school that is performing extremely well obviously has a barrier as they're moving into the mall, and so everybody might think that funding is not needed, but yes, it is. That demarcation there between high performing, got funds, but still needing funds to expand, benefited tremendously from the fund. So we're grateful.
Yeah, Mr. Davis, thank you for saying that. And I think one of the misunderstandings that we have to confront, again, in partnership, is that just because a major philanthropist is involved with a particular school or particular network doesn't mean that that's a sustainable solution for the sector. And I think over the last 15 to 20 years, we've had great pioneers from the philanthropic sector at Meeting Street, at Legacy, at Liberty Steam, and at Movement, right? That were great philanthropists, great American philanthropists have put their own capital to work because they care about their community and they care about their kids and their community. But we can't let that get in the way of a sustainable solution. Philanthropists should not have to, commit to 50 years of giving in order for a school to stay alive. No public school faces that burden. No public school should face that burden. And so I think that has been a little bit confusing at times because we've had such great philanthropists that people don't think that we need to come up with sustainable solutions. Because, wow, look at the great philanthropists, they're doing so much. But I'll just speak from firsthand experience that it does sort of get in the way of having honest conversations about sustainable solutions. And I think the Florida example is a great example because, yes, there is a great philanthropist that is helping Success Academies come to Miami. That is true. And Tallahassee and the legislature also made a bunch of changes, including allowing for public charter schools to co-locate in vacant buildings. Which, as everyone here knows, facilities are a major challenge. And so when the legislature takes that kind of action, that opens the door for philanthropists to do even more, to your point, Mr. Davis.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions?
I just want to comment on that.
Yes, sir.
Point, because I think it raises another very interesting situation that charter schools have faced historically in the state, and that is we emphasize the importance of fundraising on the front end of a charter school, actually when it's in the process of even being created. And it gives the illusion that the philanthropic environment will be there to support this ongoing. And I think from a policy perspective, we certainly have to begin to look at that. That has always been a contention of mine, that we tend to focus on saying to a new charter school, you got to go out and find all this new money before you even produce or prove anything. And so I think, I appreciate you bringing that perspective, and I certainly think that that may be something that we might want to just keep on the radar screen from a policy perspective.
Yeah, and I think it's fair, sir, that philanthropy maybe needs to exist in the year 0, year 1, year 2 phases of a school, but not in year 16, 17, 18, right? When it truly is a public school that is truly part of that community.
Thank you very much. Any more comments, questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Thank you, Mr. Board. Mr. Chair, Mr. Board. Thank you.
We'll now hear from our Chief Deputy Superintendent, Emily Paul. Oh, Brad, okay. Sorry, Brad.
You can't get rid of me that fast, so. So thank you, CR, and thank you for the great partnership we have with the Children's Fund. Next up, I'd like to invite up Dr. Perry Mills. Perry's been crisscrossing the state for several months, meeting with our community leaders and businesses and community partners, and sharing those resources that he's really discovering out there with all of our existing schools. And so I'd like for Perry to come up and share a few words about the great work he's been doing.
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, board members, Superintendent Neely. Thought I'd lost my 2 minutes of fame for a second there. But I want to just share briefly, as Brad mentioned, and the one slide that I have here is just a picture of a few of the places that I've been able to go across the state. I feel like I'm on tour, but I'm enjoying every moment of it. But I'm going to start with the one in the very middle. Most recently, I went to the Pickens area. That's a South Carolina Clemson wheelchair dedication at one of the playgrounds. When they asked me to go and support the district on that particular one, they forgot to tell me to bring tissue. That was a very touching moment. I was standing there, I'm a whole guy, but I was crying. But to see that little girl in that wheelchair on that swing being pushed, and she threw her hands up, I was done. But the other pictures around that, these are different organizations that I've been able to partner with and talk to, because what I want to do is enable our charter schools. When I go to the chamber meetings, I meet with workforce, regional workforce advisors. On Monday, I'm going to speak with the electric company for internship partnerships, as well as apprenticeships. So what I want to do, I share with them when I go to these meetings, that in a traditional setting, there's a career technology center where these kids can go and get that access. All of our schools do have career specialists, and they're required to do a SARS report every year, twice a year actually, about what exposure they're having kids be a part of. Unfortunately, because we're in isolation, one school here, one school there, we're not collectively in one location. My job is to go out and find these different opportunities for the students, speak to the school leaders, and connect them, with some of these outside entities. Because I do believe I have not been turned down by anyone I've met that did not want to work with us. Matter of fact, most of them say, I've been wondering how I can get into the charter school world. And so that's been an opening, welcoming to me to be able to speak to them. And so the issue that I have, not issue, but one concern that I wrote down, I did a survey before I started all this moving around, and about 84.3% of the schools shared with me that they had limited or no partnerships. And so a lot of that is, the reason behind that is because they say it's limited time and resources. As we know in a lot of our charter schools, there's just not a lot of, most of them wearing 2 and 3 different hats. So that person who is the career specialist probably doing 2 other things in the building. So the attention may not be 100% focused. And I understand that. I was a charter school principal at one point as well. And as a principal, I was also a teacher in my building. So I understand that shortage. So what I want to do is collaborate with these businesses, introduce them to our schools, and have our students have access. One of the most powerful ones that I had was down in Horry County with CSAA. They brought a whole team of people. We had Horry Technical College there. We had someone dealing with child care, youth apprenticeship, and that team just loved on that school and said, we want to be here. And the kids, as we were walking out, asked us why we were here, and we was telling them, and said, can I be a part of it? So I know the things that we're trying to put together is very much needed, and it's been received by our schools. It's been received, as a matter of fact, just yesterday, I had another meeting because they've appointed me, or not appointed me, but selected me to be a part of the Education Alignment Toolkit Committee so that we can do all these things together. But working with SC Works, yesterday a young lady shared with me, she said, I want to get the Be Proud, Be Pro bus out to your schools, those type of things. So that's my job right now for the last few months and continuing ahead. Forgive me for speaking fast, but I know we got a little timeline, but I wanted to share this information because I'm enjoying it. 2 days out of the week, I'm in the van, I'm out there just trying to meet people and bring them back to our schools as best I can.
Dr. Mills, thank you. I've got a couple of questions. I too saw that. I didn't know where it came from, but it touched my team as well. And I say team, there's some folks that are involved in the nonprofit that I'm a part of, and we raised $1,300 to put one of those in Sumter, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a modified version because that one was more than $1,300, but that's why we got $1,300. But nonetheless, I saw that, and it was impactful to see that young scholar, wheelchair bound. All abilities is what it's kind of the theme, right? Everybody should have access to all the things, and that is going to allow students to experience and have the same amount of fun. So thank you for bringing that up. And secondly, yesterday we had Rodney Neely, who was here as a vendor at our last event, and Rodney they've got a $20 million grant, right, at the state level. So he's tasked with going around all of our schools, public and charter, but some of this just relationship building. He went to Liberty yesterday, right? Relationships, right? Mm-hmm. So they've got a $20 million grant. They will do an assessment of all of our schools and determine if they need some help. Could be facilities, could be putting swings up, and it's free. It's a grant. They've got $20 million to spend. So I would certainly hope that we connect with Rodney, and it doesn't matter if the school is brand new, right? He's looking to see, hey, how can they add stuff to school? So he'd be a good partner for you in this effort.
Great. Yes, I would like his name, number, and social security number, sir.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments?
I'd just like to say that we talk about grants and opportunities, and I'm really strong on funding for schools because I worked in a large school district with a lot of money, then I worked in a small school district with no money. And I see the same thing in our system, like we're looking for grants for some schools, and then we've got some schools 10 miles down the road that are charter schools who are giving away grants.
Yes.
So it seems like our funding is just not balanced.
And speaking of the grants,
we can connect with some of those schools who really need some money, and I'll share the names of some of them, but these grants and partnerships are still needed for a lot of our charter schools.
and I just met with a young lady 2 days ago about it, last name Ms. White, who deals with grants as a part of SC Do, and she and I are going to meet in a couple weeks to discuss some of those things also, to how I can get my hands on or access some of those grants for our schools that need it as well. So I just met with someone a couple days ago in that same vein.
Yeah, I just realized the disparity in the
Yes, ma'am.
last month or so of our schools, and it's very hurtful.
Any more comments, questions? Dr. Mills, thank you so much for that report.
Thank you.
Last thing I'll share, Mr. Chairman, we are going to have another school board training here at our district office on October 30th. If you remember, we had another one of these back in May where this is where the new members to our individual schools boards, they have to be trained within so many months of taking office. Typically, the department and the alliance have offered this training via Zoom or online. We started offering this training in person back in May, and it was a great success. John Espane on our team heads that effort up, and so we'll be having another one October 30th. You should have received an invitation to it. It's required for any new school board member, but we've also invited any existing school board members that maybe need a refresher, and it's certainly open to our board as well, just to learn a little bit more about what they do on their level. And so, pending any questions, that concludes my report.
Questions, comments for anyone? Brad, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we'll hear from our Chief Deputy Superintendent, Emily Paul.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I will give you a quick annual plan update, things that we completed in the last month, and then our next steps for this following month. Last month, we had all of our team members complete their individual team member goals. So you remember part of that strategic alignment is from the strategic plan to the annual plan, department plans, and then individual team member goals. So we've got staff finalize their goals. Workforce Centers of Excellence, we last month had reworked that criteria for both new schools and existing schools. We got some feedback on that, and we're looking at revisions there. We identified tasks and roles for the playbook development. So those are those books that staff are going to create on the major tasks and things they do in their role, so that if they win the lottery or move on, we've got that track record for us to pick up. And then we also determined the required and optional participants for each of the professional development options that John and his team are going to be doing, and then starting to schedule training dates. So in the next month, I'm excited to say that number one on this list has already been checked off. Slides were due, and then this got checked off. We drafted the charter application for the Workforce Centers of Excellence addendum. So when a new school applies with a charter application, we have the ability to add an addendum. So one of the addendums that we have is a preschool addendum. So if a school wants to have preschool, they fill out this extra form to say, what does that preschool look like? We now have a Workforce Centers of Excellence addendum. So when a new school is applying, if they'd like that designation, they can demonstrate to us how they're meeting all of those criteria. And as they are welcomed into our district, we can grant them that designation. So my steps for this month were to draft that. That's actually done and posted on the State Department's website. Their timeline moved up a little bit, so we fell in line with them. We now need to work on creating the existing school Workforce Centers of Excellence application. That's just going to be taking that addendum, looking at how can an existing school show us that they're meeting that criteria. That way, all of our schools that are existing and want to be Workforce Centers of Excellence can have that designation as well. We have a couple schools that are really excited about getting that designation and being the first in the state, so we're working quickly on that. We will be drafting the playbook chapters, so we identified what the parts and pieces and the people are, and now we're going to be drafting those chapters. And then finally, we will begin, I'm sorry, I skipped one. We need to record Tango. So Tango is something that John and his team presented as part of professional development. It is a really cool app that we can record click by click on screens to kind of memorialize training. So we find ourselves telling schools a lot, okay, get on your screen, click here, do this, do that. Now we have a memorialized version of that. We can pre-record it and send it out to schools, and it's there forever. So we're also doing some of that for our playbook. So there's a kind of a live version of the playbook as much as we can. Some things, that's not going to work. But we will be recording Tango step-by-steps for those playbooks. And then finally, starting the professional development training that we had identified those participants for. That actually started with that Tango training last week. And so we've got a good schedule moving forward, and our staff is going to be building their capacity in a lot of different areas. Any questions about the annual plan?
Questions, comments?
All right, so.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Do you know the percentage of preschoolers that we have that we authorize? How many of our schools have
I'm
provided
looking at
preschool?
Emily Baker. Do you know how many schools have preschool? Less than 10. Yeah, it's a very small number.
Okay.
And funding is a little different for that, but we can
Yes.
get you the names of those schools that have preschool.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. I'm going to just give you a quick update on a facilities project that we have going on. In alignment with our strategic plan related to staff culture and retention, we're going to update you on this facilities project that we have. In your packets, you'll find the full scope of the regional office update as well as the full quote. As you know, back on this side of our building, we have 2 large rooms where multiple staff members are working in shared office space. Currently, those spaces have a total of 16 desks in each room. When we moved into this building, many of our staff in those rooms were remote or regional employees, lending itself to just having about 2 to 4 staff members in those rooms at a time in that shared space. So as we've come out of the COVID area and filled all those vacancies, kind of staff turnover with Columbia-based employees, those spaces are no longer conducive work environments for 8 people in a room at a time. As you can imagine, having up to 8 people on a training or on a phone call with an open desk space is a little bit chaotic. And so they're currently right now having to find quiet spaces to take phone calls, conduct training webinars, and just focus to get their work done. So as you can see on the screen, these are the new workstations that we'll be installing. These will provide private office space and with sound reducing technologies. They'll allow our staff to have quiet, personalized workspace where they can protect student PII. I think that's one of the biggest things here is the people in those shared workspaces are the people that are supporting our schools and our parents directly. So they really need a space to have those private conversations. When searching for a solution, we visited the Department of Education's new workspace, and this is actually the vendor that is working well for them. So our staff got to see how that looks. Of course, they have a much bigger setting, so they have up to like 30 people in these spaces, and it's very quiet. In addition, the vendor is on state contract. We have a tentative installation date the first week of December, and we're looking forward to our staff experiencing a more conducive office space to complete their work. Pending any questions, that concludes my report.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, about the office interior, is there a process that we're held to as far as going out and receiving so many bids or that type
So
of?
this vendor is actually on state contract, so we don't have to do that procurement process.
Comment? I would like to add Rodney Neely to that. He's tasked with coming in, looking at our space, and doing an assessment, and that is one of the areas. So I would advise you to have him come do an assessment. Maybe they'll underwrite it for you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
If there are more comments and questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Now I have our superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. First of all, I'd like to thank all of our families that are here, our school leaders, and most importantly, our students. Let's give them a round of applause. I'm going to also move this curtain. This is driving me crazy. I don't like having my back to you. But appreciate all of you driving here to Columbia to be here to celebrate your students. And I'm going to make my brief short so we can get right to the main point of the meeting. That is to honor them and their success. We'll get into a few things here real quickly. Dr. Pope, I think your acknowledgement of the inequalities that exist in charter school funding is dead on. And as you all know, we've talked about this extensively. There's not equity when it comes to funding in our public school system in South Carolina, and our charter schools are far behind. And we're going to continue aggressively this year in partnership with our schools and our school leaders and school boards to advocate not only for defense of the current formula, but we're going to advocate for additional weights for our brick and mortar schools. Grants are great. Donations are great. And we'll take all of them that are out there. But the bottom line is it's not sustainable. And we need the state of South Carolina to step up and do its part. So I look forward to working with all of you to ensure that there's true equity in public school in South Carolina. Got a little bit of our tour going on with our schools. Dr. Pope and John Payne and Brad and I were down at Fox Creek. They're building their new middle school down at North Augusta, South Carolina. That whole region, Aiken County, Edgefield County, are just continuing to grow and get the spillover from Augusta and the Cyber School of Excellence with the United States Army and DOD. And so we're excited to be able to continue to grow there. It was good to be on the ground and see not only students at the existing high school, but be able to see the new construction site. And Dr. Pope, you look good with that construction hat on. I love it. And actually, Dr. Pope, if I'm not mistaken, you had previously worked with the contractor on that project before.
Yeah, I've had two schools, when I served as principal, I had two schools that went under projects, and one was that.
Yeah, so, and we, in fact, gave him a coin because he was all about putting kids first when it came to the construction of this building. Had a couple check presentations. The most recent was Greenville Tech Charter High School received a big check from the South Carolina Children's Fund, and CR, appreciate you and the board for donating the dollars to our schools. I look forward to doing more of these with our other schools, traveling around the state and recognizing the good work they're doing and their intentional focus on closing the achievement gap and being a high quality school. We took time out at the start of the fall kickoff, and we cooked some burgers and some dogs for the staff at lunch, and everybody got to wear their favorite colors. Some of us didn't wear our favorite colors because our teams are not doing so well. So I just kept my apron on and cooked dogs and burgers. But anyway, we had a good time. It was good to be able to just spend an hour outside in the sunlight and celebrate fall and the season together. 2 weeks ago, thanks to the South Carolina Children's Fund again and their participation with the Education Lab with the South Carolina's Post and Courier newspaper, Dr. Trevor and Ivy and I had an opportunity to serve on a panel at the University of South Carolina to talk about the state of charter schools in South Carolina. It was an honor to be able to participate on that panel. Mika Childs with the Department of Ed was on the panel, and Dr. Derek Black, who's a professor at the University of South Carolina School of Law, was on there as well. I believe we have sent out the video to this, and if we have it, Brad will send it out. But I please take the time to watch that video and listen to the conversation. It's very relevant to what we're talking about, and it hit on several of the points that CR was making about the sector in South Carolina and just a lot of the noise that's going on. And I thought it was a good open discussion. And we've actually entertained the idea of maybe taking this on the road around the state so that our families can come to these as well and go to the communities in which they live. But we're going to continue to be a strong voice for choice here in South Carolina. Was really excited to be able to be at SCASA 2 weeks ago to celebrate Bella Budney's poster contest. She was the recipient of an award at SCASA and recognized. She was one of 4 students. She's one of Tom Cronin. Tom, stand up, please. Let everybody recognize you on behalf of Bella. Very impressive what she did, and I was impressed with all the winners, but she articulated her poster very well, and I had her go through the whole thing. I wanted to understand, and so we're very proud of her and her family and our Green Charter School. 2 weeks ago, I went up to Harvard. I know Harvard's in the news a lot right now, but Harvard every year hosts the Emerging Schools, Innovation Schools Conference. This is really where the top researchers in the school choice space come together to talk about all forms of school choice. And Harvard hosts this, and I was honored to be able to participate in a panel on the impact that charter schools in South Carolina are having both socially and economically. And so we talked a lot about what the Liberty Steams of the world are doing in Sumter and taking over a mall that was closing, what Legacy's doing up in Greenville in terms of, you know, the access to health care right there on that campus with that clinic they had with Bond Secures Hospital. You know, the work that we're doing out in the Low Country with bridges, and then, of course, you know, STEM and sustainability with our Green Charter network across the state. It was a great conversation, a great panel, and hopefully we'll get a chance to be invited back next year and speak about next year's focus. But just trying to elevate the voice of the district on a national level, and also really network with these top researchers at these universities around the country, like the University of Arkansas and the great research that they've got going on down there, to ensure that the South Carolina story, the story is being told. I did a visit up in Greenville last week. I was with Tom and Dr. Strickland. We got him captured in there. Dr. Strickland, I'm sorry we don't have a helmet for you. But I had the opportunity to visit two of the campuses, the primary and the middle school there in Greenville, and also just have a little bit of fun. Y'all saw the pictures from last month with Bridges and, you know, kind of monkeying around outside on the playground. But, you know, you got to have a little fun while you're there. But just love the spirit of the kids this year. Every school that I visit every week, I feel like the kids are just, I hope they're that way at home, because I feel like kids right now are just really engaged in our schools. And I like that because I remember what it was like 5 years ago. And just seeing kids so happy. They're happy to be at school, they're with friends, and they're having fun and they're learning. And I think that's going to be demonstrated in the report card that's going to be coming out in a couple weeks. We also got invited, we were the only school district in the state to be invited by the governor to participate in the commander's brief to the governor and the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, General Todd McCaffrey. It was always an honor to be able to participate in this forum, but this is where the governor brings together all the military stakeholders in South Carolina, including the commanders of all the military bases in our state, to talk about the issues of concern with them. And of course, education is always a big concern. We've talked about this before. You know, when families move here, what's the first thing that mom and dad do? They go online and they want to look up and see who the great schools are. And when they find out they're moving to an area where there's not a great school, they get concerned. And sometimes in the military, they choose not to take that assignment. In South Carolina, we've got to continue to provide our military families with all the best options because their kids deal with additional, you know, issues that other kids don't. They move multiple times throughout their life, and they deal with the stress of having a parent or both parents deployed around the world. And so we want to make sure that they have choice as well. So, you know, the opportunity for us to be able to be there at this forum, to be with the commanders, to be engaged with them is quite an honor. And I might say that the commander at Joint Base Charleston here, Captain Kep, he's also partnered with Palmetto Scholars Academy, which was one of our charter schools and the only charter school in South Carolina located on a military base down at Joint Base. So just excited to be in partnership with him and his team. Yesterday I was at East Point, and this is their SRO. You do not want to mess with him. Yeah, he's a gentle giant, but loved the engagement at East Point yesterday. We had a really good visit. Again, we visited their primary and their middle school, and you know, we also had Senator Ott there with us, and he was there able to really talk with us about some of these issues related to funding, transportation, and access issues. The fact that there's just such a disparity in funding between the two. And he also shared his concerns about the noise in the charter sector. And that's a fair assessment. A few other things that I wanted to talk about. I don't have a picture of this, but I did meet with Superintendent Burke Royster of Greenville County School District last week after my visit at Green. And Dr. Strickland, I appreciate you being there and setting that meeting up. It was really an opportunity to just kind of talk about what happened at the end of last session with SCASA and the funding formula and the cut to charter schools. You know, we want to continue to be in dialogue with you know, other stakeholders. And I'm not afraid to go meet with anybody. And I thought we had a really good conversation. Dr. Strickland, you know, feel free to characterize the meeting any way you want. But, you know, I think we want to be at peace with people. But, you know, I think he learned some things that, you know, are relevant to charter schools that represent, you know, some deficiencies for our schools. For instance, you know, he was not aware that our schools are unable to provide state retirement for our teachers because of the cost. And, you know, it poses a problem when we're trying to recruit good teachers from other public schools and give them that opportunity, because if they've got so many years in the system, they don't want to leave. And I don't blame them. So that was just one example, and we had some good chuckles too over, you know, just things that were said in the past. But all that being said, we want to be good partners in the public sector and continue to have that dialogue. I did want to call on Trustee Stephen Gilchrist. As you all know, he serves on the United States Civil Rights Commission in Washington, and he had a topic that he wanted to discuss briefly.
Superintendent, thank you so much for that. And let me just comment back on your presentation at Harvard. I received numerous calls and text messages about how well you did and how well you represented not only our district, but this movement across our country. And I just want to say to you, thank you for always being a leader and representing us well whenever you go places. I received calls from Washington, D.C., to school board members in South Carolina that are on traditional public school boards that said, your superintendent stood out and was fabulous at that meeting. So I just want to tell you that. All right.
Thank you.
So on September the 30th, the United States Commission on Civil Rights released a report regarding teacher shortages and its impact on special needs students. This was an examination that was done to really look at what is actually happening in that space, and more specifically, how do we begin to ensure that this one size that fits all is not the plan for children, particularly for those that have special needs. And of course, with what we do in the South Carolina Public Charter School District, you know, we recognize this. We were delighted to have representatives from across the United States to come and testify before us in Washington at a hearing about what are some of the findings and recommendations that we believe are critical to this work, and more specifically, how do we use that as a way to inform policymakers, the President of the United States and the Congress, about policies that make sense in that regard. This was a statutory report that goes directly to the President of the United States and to the Congress, and it's our hope later this year or early next year, there will be a formal press conference with the President of the United States and the Secretary of Education and the Congress to begin to look at some specific policy recommendations that actually came from this report. I'll be remiss if I did not say that out of all of the experts that we had to come to Washington, D.C., our very own Jonathan Butcher was a part of the group that testified in Washington, and he did an outstanding job. He also chairs the South Carolina Civil Rights Commission here in South Carolina, and so Jonathan did a great job. Part of what he shared with that group was very vital to the recommendations that you will see in the report. So, Mr. Superintendent, I appreciate you allowing me to be able to share this with us today. You can find the report on the Commission website. I'm sure we can certainly put it up on our charter school website just as a resource so that people can take a look at the findings and recommendations. So thank you, Mr.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. We appreciate your representation on the United States Civil Rights Commission, and Jonathan, you too. I mean, I think what we're hearing today is our board members have been very engaged at many levels, and I also just wanted to close before we go into the recognition of our scholars our chair today, Dexter Davis, Dexter and I for several months now have been in conversation about what would it look like to create a flag football program in South Carolina for students with disabilities. One of the things that we know is that for many of our families of students with disabilities, there's not a lot of sports programs for them, and they're left out. Yes, we have Special Olympics and some other programs, but I'm talking about an inclusive program where all kids are out there playing sports together. And so Dexter and I had met with a gentleman by the name of Mike Millington at Riverland Hills Church here in Columbia. They have a very vibrant sports program and some really impressive athletic fields. And we said, what would it look like if we started a program here in Columbia and then see if it takes off around the state so that all our families with children and with disabilities and those without disabilities have the opportunity to participate in football. Of course, you know, we all know Dexter's connection to the NFL, having played, and he's an alumnus, and he's also the president of the NFL Alumni Association here in South Carolina. We started having that conversation. Well, about 2 weeks ago, Mike emailed me and he said, man, we've got so much going on in our church and we got all these other sports programs. I just don't think the time is right, you know, but I know God will lead the way on this. And I just responded and said, well, God will lead the way on this, I'm sure. The next day, I got another email from Mike and he said, well, apparently God's speaking, because Dexter showed up at my office and said that the NFL is committed and we're going to do flag football in October. So we're going to be a partner in the state's first flag football program for students in South Carolina. And I just think it's so exciting, and being able to see those young people out on the football field playing, learning the sport, but also being mentored and coached by NFL alumni, people that we watched on Sunday play football like Dexter, that are going to be out there donating their time and talents to help these kids. It just warms my heart. My son Marsh has already signed up. He's already got his jersey number picked out, and it's going to be Dexter's. So anyway, I just wanted to do a shout out for Dexter. I think we should give him a round of applause. All right, at this time I'll call Emily Baker up so we can have some important recognition.
Vice Chair Davis, Board of Trustees, it's time for the big event. This morning, we are here to recognize our 2025 SC Ready Perfect students. The SC Ready assessment measures student performance on the South Carolina College and Career Ready standards. Standards specify what schools are expected to teach and what students are expected to learn. The SC Ready test items are aligned to the standards for each subject and grade level. Achieving a maximum score on one of the SC Ready assessments shows true mastery of these standards. This is a testament to the power of parent choice in their child's education, the innovative instructional practices of our schools, a teacher's autonomy with best practices, and the students' hard work. The South Carolina Public Charter School District had 33 maximum scores for the 2025 SC Ready assessments. Nine students received a maximum score in ELA. 5 students received a maximum score in science, and 19 students received a maximum score in math. Students, we will call your name one at a time to come forward for a photo with Superintendent Neely and Vice Chair Davis. So you'll come down this aisle and across over here, okay, when your name is called. You will receive a certificate from the district and also a lapel pin of the district's logo to sport proudly on your Sunday best or your book bag. School leaders, when we get to your school group, you are welcome to come forward for photos as well. Okay, now here's the real talk. Students, while you are perfect, I am not, okay? And your names are very unique and special, and I know that they are important to you. Okay? You have my complete permission today. If I do not properly pronounce your name at lunchtime, you may correct me. Okay? I've been practicing. We are honored to have 28 of those 33 maximum scorers here today. Parents, I know this is an awkward angle for photos. We will get you our photo file so that you can pull whatever you would like. And then our board meeting is also streamed on YouTube if you would like to share this recording with your families. Okay, that link is on our website, and we can also send it out with the photos for you. All right, up first, we have Bridges Preparatory School. Our first perfect student is Spencer Bacon. She received a maximum score in 4th grade ELA. Ava Chapman, 4th grade science. Jude Chapman, 3rd grade math. And Benjamin Flack, 4th grade math. From East Point Academy, Dash Hyatt. Dash Hyatt. Sienna Jones, 5th grade math. Raya Regmi, 3rd grade ELA. Adanya Rumpf, 3rd grade math. Harlan Tyler, 3rd grade math. Heath Wilkerson, third grade math. Mr. Lally, I need to meet your third grade math teacher. Up next, we have Green Charter School, Greenville. Ashka Aranvinda Prudsad, fourth grade math. Parth Kumar, fourth grade math. Alessandra Simone Manalo, fourth grade science. Luke Tsai, fourth grade math. Eloise Vanderveer, third grade math. Mercy Wilkinson, fourth grade science. Leave Chambers, third grade math. Mr. Cronin and Ms. Fitz, we need to meet your fourth grade math teacher too. I know, it doesn't have one. Up next, from Green Charter School of the Midlands, John McLaughlin, fourth grade ELA. From Legacy Early College, Ayla Green, fourth grade ELA. We had some stylish kids. Y'all are cute. From Liberty STEAM Charter School, Adair Moore, fourth grade science. From Meeting Street Spartanburg, Kaylee Rainwater, fifth grade ELA. From Tall Pines STEM Academy, Jones Stewart, 6th grade math. From York Preparatory Academy, no stranger to this stage, for the 2nd year in a row, Arshad Ali, 5th grade math. I bet he could teach us a thing or two. Nick, you might need a job. James Campbell, 6th grade science. Tanner Gibson, 5th grade math. Everly Sestair, 6th grade ELA. Just cute. Nash Wolfling, 3rd grade math. Rowan Yancey, 4th grade ELA. Congratulations to all of our perfect students. While the students are coming forward for one group photo, I do have a couple of things to share with you. I wanted to thank Ms. Diana Kingsbury, our district testing coordinator. She is in the back waving. She made sure that each of you had all of the information you needed to be here today, and she oversees all of our test assessments for your students. At the conclusion of the board meeting in just a few minutes, this is our last item of the day, we will celebrate each of these perfect students and their families with a special lunch, so please stay for lunch and join us. Yes, boys, you're all tall. All right, everybody look at Miss Chi-Chi. On the count of 3, we're going to say kids first. Are you ready? All right, ready? On the count of 3, we're going to say kids first. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Parents and school leaders, thank you for being here. It means a lot to us that you took the time out of your day to join us, and I know some of you had to travel quite a far distance, so thank you. And Vice Chair Davis, I turn it back to you, sir.
Thank you. From my understanding, there's going to be a kid-friendly luncheon, so please, parents and students, join us for lunch. At this moment, a few things to announce. Well, not necessarily an announcement. The only thing missing from the slide, I believe, was Dr. Strickland on the slide, and I think we'd all wish we would have seen him slide down. Nonetheless, thank you, Marlene, for making this a nice transition, clear and concise to me. Mrs. Sellers, thank you. And now we need a motion to adjourn.
Second.